If you ever feel like you're in an endless debate with yourself about your next step, always on the verge of embarking on some new creative pursuit, but never getting there, this one's for you. We've all been there. Lots of ideas, plans, research, checklists. Wait, there's a new idea. Wait, new plans, new research, and so on. Part of the problem of having a brain that's used to coming up with new ideas, seeing future use case scenarios, getting deep in the weeds about potential new projects, is that it can be near impossible to shut it down. Whether that's out of perfectionism or fear of failure, we run the risk of overthinking ourselves into inaction. And if you're a longtime listener or viewer, you're probably thinking, dude, you're the one who's always overthinking here. You got a whole friggin' podcast dedicated to it. Okay, that's fair. However, in my defense, there's a time for thinking and a time for doing. And it's hard to know when that is. I mean, sometimes the best thing is to step back and consider our next move. And sometimes the best thing is to just do something and figure it out along the way. As an improviser, I feel like maybe I have a slight advantage there. One of the first things you figure out as a beginner improviser is just do something. Don't freeze. Freezing is the result of overthinking. When our mind gets stuck in a feedback loop, we know we should do something, but we don't know what that is, and we feel like we should have a plan, but there's no time. And then the moment is passing us by, and then there's a new moment, but we need a new plan. And it can be really awful to experience something like that on stage. But we don't have to be on stage to experience overthinking. We can do that in the comfort of our own homes, or at work, or wherever we have to execute our ideas. Improvisation is just a compressed version of the creativity that we all deal with on a daily basis. It's about drawing on prior experience and knowledge to make informed decisions to the best of our abilities in the present moment. That's it. But the most important part is making a decision. Overthinking hijacks the decision-making process. It takes us back to the drawing board without ever having done anything to go back from. It pulls us away from the moment into considering endless possibilities. But sometimes we don't need endless possibilities, we just need one. I think the beauty of deciding to move forward with our creativity is the knowledge that at any moment we could decide to go left or right, or up or down or backwards. We can always change course and let our previous decision guide our process. We can go back to the drawing board, there's nothing wrong with that. But we also have to get away from the drawing board and get in the game. Speaking of games, the Olympics are going on right now in Paris, and honestly, I'm not really following it. But I've seen enough to know that these athletes are pretty incredible. I saw some of the kayaking the other day, and it was mesmerizing. I mean, talk about going with the flow. These people have to go with the flow and then dance around it while trying not to drown. I'm not a sports person, at all. I'm not into competition as a concept, but I can appreciate the beauty of athletes being in the flow state and making split-second decisions like improvisers. A common misperception is that there's no time to think, but they're thinking. They're just not dwelling on anything. There's no contemplation. Calculations are happening in milliseconds, and decisions are being forgotten about as soon as they're made. Now, I'm not saying that all creative people need to be more like that, but I think we could learn a lot from athletes and improvisers. This can become a mode that we develop to get past overthinking, like some sort of beast mode. Because we do need to think and sometimes carefully consider what the right solution is to a problem, like a golfer. And you might be thinking, okay, but golfers are also athletes. And you'd be wrong. I'm kidding. No, my dad plays golf. It's a fine sport, if you're into that kind of thing. But the thing is, even with golf, there's a time for thinking and a time for action. Once they start swinging that club, it has to be feeling and instinct that take over. From the moment they start the swing, they have to commit to that action with every fiber of their being. Halfway into it, they can't start wondering if they picked the right club or if they should have stood a millimeter closer or if the snack bar is still open. It's got to be 100% focused confidence all the way. Like a painter, once the brush is in motion, it's feeling. Decisions are being made, but there's no rumination. They can always step back and consider the next stroke, but when the brush is on the canvas, that's their golf swing. We have to be able to put our thinking caps to the side and commit to our art when the moment of action is here. Teeing up the ball and being unsure of the swing is useless. Okay, that's my last sports metaphor. I promise. Until the next one. I had a teacher in college tell me once, when he thought I was being too tentative, play it wrong and strong, he said, meaning that even if you know what you're doing is probably a mistake, convince yourself that it's the right thing to do. Sell it. Exude confidence no matter what. That might be the best advice I ever got. And this is different than fake it till you make it. This is not about faking anything. It's about creative confidence. It's about not letting your future decisions get bogged down with regret for the last one. It's about accepting the results of our last decision and moving forward from there. It's about not overthinking everything we do. When we believe in our fundamental abilities to be creative, we can stop overthinking and trust ourselves to do something, and that the something we do will be good. And even if it's not, we know we can react to it and build off of it to make something better. So let's believe in ourselves. Let's trust ourselves to be creative. Let's stop overthinking and commit to the stroke. Please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I'm putting out videos like this one every week that looks under the hood of the creative process in order to keep our creative engines humming. That's all I've got for today. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'll catch you in the next episode. Until then, keep the flow.